Roger is going to talk about what is the Internet of Things. Roger.
Thanks, Ian.
Sorry, I started that.
So, indeed, I am the warm-up act for this final quartet on the Internet of Things. And my contribution is to try to give a description of what is the Internet of Things, because there doesn't seem to be any fixed understanding, therefore expectation. It seems to be a buzzword, or even worse, one manufacturer's interpretation is taken as gospel. And I don't say this for, I was discussing over the coffee break with someone. It's not for kind of Machiavellian reasons that I, for example, talk about Bluetooth. It's simply I know more about Bluetooth than I do about Zigbee or Z-Wave or something. So it's good to try to break down what is Internet of Things before we get to this kind of level. And I thought I would do this in the following way. Firstly, to talk about a domestic example, which hopefully will be resonate with you all, and then to tear that apart, what are the fundamentals we've learned from that example, and then build it up again with a professional application, and then end with a swift canter through various common use cases. So to start with my domestic example, in essence, what the Internet of Things is converging various different siloed services. It could be heating or ventilation or lighting, or security or audio-visual, each with their own proprietary protocols, but wouldn't it be good to converge them for two reasons? One, cost, and the other, ease of use. So if you look at cost, if you're converging different systems, then you can think of sharing software platforms or network nodes or user interfaces or switches or sensors, etc. And this means that obviously the whole collection becomes more affordable. And second, it becomes more intuitive to use and quicker. So the example I give is if you go on holiday, what makes best sense to use one switch on a tablet from a smart home, or these days more likely one of the voice-activated smart speakers from Amazon or Google, or to sequentially go through all these different things. Are the doors and windows locked? Are the lights in occupancy emulation mode, so some kind of time sequence? Is the thermostat reduced to save energy? Water flow sensor for increased sensitivity to prevent breaks or flooding? Occupancy sensors on alarm mode? Security system activated? Plug loads off? Hi-fi? Television, computers, etc. Fire and smoke and carbon monoxide sensors set to immediately alert neighbours and authorities. To do these one at a time, or one switch saying I'm off, which makes more sense. So let's look at what we've actually done there. I wanted I maintain there's three main building blocks. The firstly is the actors themselves, the intelligent actors that are varying brightness from fixtures or shading using the blinds or heating, ventilation and so on. So these are programmed actors which, given a signal, a trigger, are carrying out the actions they've been programmed to do. So it's rules-based, if this then that system. So what is that trigger? It could be an app on your phone, or it could be sensors from the environment. And so it's reacting to the environment. How can it possibly react to the environment unless it's talking to the environment? So essential for the above adaptive environments, you need sensors to provide these triggers for the actors to work upon. And the sensors, the common ones are lux, of course, and movement and temperature and humidity. And then finally, for these two things to work in sensibly, they need to have the same, to talk the same language. So if you take this argument beyond smart lighting to whole smart buildings, then you need a standard protocol. This is way beyond individual manufacturers' proprietary protocols. So these, I maintain, are the three main building blocks. And if I build up the blocks again to the professional sphere, you see that here are the actors, the smart lighting, the smart points. But I've moved it beyond lighting to movable security, heating, ventilation, shading, etc. So you've got these nodes talking to each other, taking triggers from the environment. It could be sensors, it could be switches, it could be apps or tablets, etc., and talking common language. So you've got the lights, I don't think it's too artistic to say, looking over an environment and able to, in a way, hold a conversation with the environment and answer what specifically is going on, what do I need to do as an actor to make that environment as perfect as possible, let's say to reach a state of equilibrium and at the lowest possible energy consumption. So this is another way of putting it is peer-to-peer communication. They're each talking to each other and making their own decisions what they have to do. It's not going back via some central medallion master or something, which could complicate the issue. It could end up with unacceptable latency. So there it is in a professional blueprint. Now we've got all the smart nodes talking to each other. What can we do? So I've already mentioned the word adaptive environments, and here I give an example. And I want to say from the onset, this isn't new. I'm just well over 30 years in lighting, and I've been talking about this use case. But I think what is new is that it can be done cheaper, more intuitively, more granularity, as my American colleagues say. So here you have smart lighting in an office environment, and there is daylight coming in, so the artificial lighting is tempered. You have the design illumination on the working plane, and energy saving because the lighting is not needed to be on full artificial lighting. Here in a nighttime situation, there is movement detected, so now the lighting is on full. You have the design illumination still, but it's totally from artificial lighting. Here, the lighting is dimmed for a standby period, a hold-off period, for security reasons, and there's no one present. And then after that period, the lighting is completely off for maximum energy saving. Repeat, this isn't new. I just maintain it's being done better than pre-IoT days. It's being done more subtly, cheaper, more intuitive to carry out and commission. The second use case I want to mention is preventative maintenance. I touched upon this with Westminster Abbey, but this is a better example. This is a department store that was lit by Alphabet, and using smart luminaires, and separately, remote. Remember I showed you the how this can be done with gateways, so Bluetooth to Internet protocol. So in one central place, let's say headquarters of these department stores, they can monitor what's happening on site. So here are the luminaire names. They were in an atrium, and as incoming daylight came in, they dimmed. And here you see the punch square is red, and it says TOV, that stands for thermal overload. You know exactly what the issue is, and go on site once and once only. So it means that you can spot when problems are likely to occur even before they've manifested themselves. Look, this luminaire is still working, but it's overload. The temperature is you know, it's going to cause problems further down the line. So even before it's manifested itself, you can have it fixed. It also gives you timescales, let's say for optimum group replacement cycles, and even on this, if you take another level, the part numbers of the manufacturers are coded in the module. So it means more efficient in time and workload management and reduction in spare parts and inventory, because you know you're not going to get any surprises. Next, scene sets. I have to stand here to read it myself, but what's going on here, I've taken a hotel example where the ballroom, it could be used for a conference or for a party or a dinner, and each obviously will need a different scene set. So during commissioning, the lighting designer sets the lighting that he wants. This is on a control panel, back office as it were. And then very simple scene recall from any switch saying, yes, it's being used for an evening event, press this, or it could be a special event for Christmas or diurnal, different times during the day. And yeah, so I would say this is one of the most important of the use cases, and it's practically unlimited, the number of scenes or groupings that you can do with Internet of Things. Now I start to go beyond lighting, and I take for my inspiration Steve Jobs, when 20 years ago now, he held up what I would still call a phone and said it's a phone, a mobile internet browser and an iPod for apps. These are not three different things. So his big theme was integration of functions. And I think this has been well, society has really moved in this direction. My kids, they won't wear a watch. Daddy, your watch, it only does one thing, they can't believe it. It's got to have different functions. So luminaires, of course, primarily they're to give light. You're the custodians of good lighting, and to let's say design a lighting scheme. The Bluetooth coverage would be preposterous. But on the other hand, you can do a lot more with the Internet of Things. There is in the smart lighting, the Bluetooth chipset, beacons. It sends out so-called advertising packets, which helps you with this. It gives you the light technical information that I've been describing here. But the point is, it can also give other information which is location specific. So this is an example of location specific services provided by lighting, integration of functions. So it sends out beacons, Bluetooth beacons, which can be picked up by another Bluetooth device, such as an app on your phone. So if I go close to this picture, for example, yes, my phone, if I've got such an app, it will be triggered by the Bluetooth signal coming from the transport or what have you above it pretty accurately. It triangulates between different Bluetooth signals and triggers information, the operating system of the app, to give information specific to where you are. So it could help with wayfinding, or it could help with information on merchandise or pictures or what have you. At first I thought, 5 years ago when I started getting involved with this sort of thing, this is a bit, it's a bit niche, but actually almost every job that I'm involved in, somewhere they're using this sort of thing. Yeah. I think it can be useful. If I go to a supermarket and I want to buy one thing, and I don't want to spend an hour trying to find it, this sort of thing can be helpful. This one is a beacon app from Petrie Gallery in near Houston, and it's the biggest collection of Egyptology outside of the National Museum in Cairo. It's got more than 80,000 different exhibits. So this app, it makes the experience something tenable for the people visiting a museum. They get a top 10 and then the app shows them around. But, and it doesn't stop there, I go on to my next point, which is analytics. I know this can have political overtones with some things that have happened recently with Cambridge Analytica and others. But nevertheless, at a basic level, it can be very useful. So this is the Petrie Gallery I was just telling you about. And with the Beacon app, you can get information on the different exhibits as you come up to them. What's this technically it's known as an event. And as well as it coming on your phone, it's being logged onto a server. And therefore, for the different points, you can see how often did people go there? How long did they linger? And this kind of information, it can tell you which are the most popular bits in the museum, which possibly could be bottlenecks, you maybe have to reorganize things. Or on the contrary, which parts are underutilized. And, well, basically, you know, you can compare footfall on the weather conditions outside or other events in London. The more information, the more insights, you know, the better the planning. At the end of the day, it's all about ROI and getting new visitors. This is a huge topic. I just dipped my toe in the water a little bit. Then I want to end with a piece of fun, really. So, Internet of Things in the world of lighting can bring energy savings, it can bring streamlined maintenance, it can introduce analytics, you can have apps, but as well as that, it can straightforward be fun. This is about 50 suspended umbrellas, believe it or not, in the Harbour Rocks area of Sydney. It's not there now, it was for the Vivid Festival. It was a piece of light art by 4 or 5 lighting designers that worked together. Actually won an award for the best piece of innovation in the festival. And they all have smart lighting modules suspended from these umbrellas and activated by a movement detector as you approach the Harbour Rocks area. Then it sets off a sequence of scenes. It's very easy to do. I've told you how you do scene sets. You just kind of weld them together so that you get a narrative. And it looks like a thunderstorm, flashes and lightning, and there's music, or not music, sound effects at the same time. So smart lighting, Internet of Things, it can also be just out and out fun. So that's my introduction to the topic. I now hand over to Richard.